It is December 17th, 2020. We're here on the side of the house for the property at 3528 Hugo Street in San Diego, California. So the rooftop here is a shingle roof that is tile clay version that can crack, so we cannot go up on the roof and go through the vents. So here on the side of the house right here is this crawl space entry point, and here for the hall bathroom in the front of the house, you can see right here, this is where the toilet goes in. Here's the shower stall here. We do have a 3-inch ABS clean out. All the pipes here are ABS. So we're going to go ahead and go from this clean out here and inspect these pipes. So this was not originally ABS. It was either all remodeled or added on based on the number of bathrooms and what they have here. So we're basically headed straight across, essentially headed towards the kitchen area. Off to the right, at some point we should see a T-junction because we have the master bathroom and another second hall bathroom. So I'm going to look at this turn right here and see if that's a T. It looks like it's just a turn. So here's our T-junction right here. So this looks to be where we're picking up the other bathrooms from the, again, master bathroom and hall bathroom. It's all plastic, it appears. We don't have access, again, to get across those, but looks like everything was put in with all new ABS plastic, which is what we're looking for. And a little bit of debris right there on what appears to be the transition right here. We're going to try to see if this is, yeah, so it looks like that's the rubber boot right here where the plastic is possibly ending. Got some debris there, but it does not look like that's roots. It just looks like it's some little snagged particulate. We go through this here, and this was relined. So this is the original cast iron pipe, and it was relined. So you can see the little folds and bends. That is a weave product, essentially like a fiberglass sleeve that gets created. There's basically a cloth sleeve that gets inserted, and then a hydraulic pump goes ahead and shoots in a coating that dries up over the material and hardens, and you now have a relined pipe. So they replaced all the bathrooms with plastic, and then they coated the old original cast iron here. Okay, now we're into a short little span of ABS plastic that was installed. So when they do the lining process, they can only go so far through so many turns and distances, and then they have to start or stop at a certain point. And so you can see right here, this was probably one of their dig-up spots where they had to go ahead and do that. Now we do have some roots intruding right there at this section, so you can see. So this was also relined, so you can see again, this was where it was dug up for the process. It's just unfortunate that when they did their banding of this, they didn't seal it very well and use a proper connection, and so we've got some roots intruding right there. So this is at about 44 feet out almost, so we'll pull back and locate that, but we're going to continue down the line right here. So again, this is now the relined section of the pipe here as well. So this was all the original cast iron. It's too difficult and expensive to dig up, so they do the lining process instead. Okay, looks like we have a turn right here, and it looks like we're converting back to plastic. And then we have more relined section right there. So it looks like that T was just put in for the relining process, possibly. probably going to have to run some water through the system. It's getting very difficult to push from being in the crawl space and the number of turns we made. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second and get some water running through the system so we can see if that helps us get by any further down the line here. Okay, so what you're looking at here is our other camera. So we went ahead and found that we are all the way into the garage, and in the garage there's a half bath, and that has a clean out in the floor next to the toilet. So we pushed our second camera in there. So what you're looking at is the spring head with the camera of that one that we pushed in. So basically at this point we're going to continue from the other camera to go the rest of the way. There's our push rod for that one. So what we're now going to do is pull this one back. Here's the ABS turn and the concrete that was dug up in the garage. We can see that. Now we see another patch on the other side of the garage from the side door entrance. We believe that's where the other plastic junction was installed for this lining process and where the roots probably are. So we're going to pull back this 10 feet or so from where we're at here back to this root intrusion so we can go ahead and verify that. Okay, so you can see all the roots right there growing along the side there, and that's where they're coming in. So we'll go ahead and pause and locate this. Okay, so we have gone ahead and located this root intrusion. It is in fact under the concrete patch on the in the garage, on the side by the one door entrance. We've marked it with some chalk. The pipe here is only 13 inches deep, so it's very shallow. But again, the line has been compromised, unfortunately, from the connection method that was done by the lining company. So I guess if the owner had it done within a certain period of time and they have a warranty, most lining companies give you a 20-year warranty on their liner. So it's possible if the owner still had this done at that time and the company's still in business, they may be able to go back at them and have them fix this at no charge, but that's up to them. So we're now going to pull back to that other transition where we had some of that debris. We want to double check that, make sure it wasn't roots. I know it just looked like some hard scale and buildup on there. That's it right here. So, looks like just hard buildup and debris. There's one little piece there, but don't think this is going to cause any issues. It's very, very small on the bottom left side of the pipe there. The house is vacant. I don't know how long it's been vacant for, but we don't have any paper, feces, or anything else built up on that little pocket. And it'd be hard to try to clean that up. We could use a chain knocker system. The problem is that with the relining starting right there, you could actually damage some of that. So it's really not an area of concern I'm worried about, but we're just trying to show this here in detail. So it looks okay. So we're going to go ahead now and pause the video. We're now going to pull this out and go to the camera that we have where they intersected together in the garage. Okay, so we have a little bit of water on the bottom because the home inspection company's here and they're running some water through the kitchen to test for leaks. So again, this is where you just saw the two cameras intersect. So this is now the second camera that's now going to continue down this relined pipe here. So we're basically in the garage running towards the street right now. So all this cast iron was relined. This is all 4-inch pipe. So all the reline was 4-inch. Okay, here's our property line clean out. So here's where the turn a T-junction and turn occur on the line where this horizontal pipe is going to go down to become vertical. So we're now headed down at about a 45 or 60 degree angle almost. And then here's our transition back to cast iron pipe. So here's where the relining process company stopped. And so now we're into original cast iron here. And then right at the bottom here, we're about to make the transition back to become true horizontal pipe again. So right here, when it makes this complete turn, which is typical, it turns into clay pipe. So now we're in 4-inch clay pipe. So this cast iron is now 4-inch clay. And we have very large root intrusion right there, as you can see, getting through the hub with a bunch of debris that's holding up a little lake or pool of water right there. So we're going to go ahead and we'll come back and locate that, but we're going to try to push through this. You can see right here, we've actually got a little wall, either where a misaligned pipe hitting the side wall of the cast iron, the clay. Otherwise, the roots are just so thick right there as well. There we go. We actually got a little clear picture there. So we knew we had the thick roots there. We may still have a slightly misaligned pipe, a section of clay that's acting. There we go. We just jumped over that. And then we've got another big intrusion that's either from that first one careening all the way across, and a really big bug down in there, or we've got this next hub that's coming up right here. We have a bunch more roots in that as well. Looks like a little grasshopper guy. So continue down this line here. We'll pull back and locate that area. So we've got that piece of pipe. It's 2 hubs. They're about 4 feet apart. That's the longest they made clay pipe. There's another hub right there. Now we've got a little bit of debris in our camera lens, so what we're going to do is we're going to run some water from this toilet down the system here and the laundry sink as well, so we can go ahead and get this kind of cleaned off our lens and verify everything else looks good. So we're going to let the camera keep running while the water's running here. Hopefully this will clean off the lens here. There's our water going by. So there we go. So that hub does look clear and clean. So that one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. And it looks like that's just a little cobweb on the top. And then this might be our last turn and transition into the city itself. So there you go. There's the drop into the city in the street. So that's the end of this lateral line for this house. So we're now going to go ahead and pull back about the 20 to or so feet that we have to the 2 intrusions that are happening from about 50 to 54 feet on the camera. So we're going to pause the video while we just pull this back. Okay, as we were pulling back here, some of the water that rinsed off our camera, we can actually see there actually is a very tiny root intrusion here at this very last junction right before it sweeps into the city. So you can see the very small roots right there that are there. So on the very bottom of the pipe, which was kind of hidden from the water, but then as it's slowing down finally, we can see that we've got just some real tiny ones right there on the bottom of the line. You can see the little dangly ones there. So they're very, very tiny, but they're there in the system. So if you were going to reline the rest of the system, you would need to go all the way out here to this 70-foot mark, essentially, to clean up the rest of it if you were to do that from the property line out. So we'll now go ahead and now pull back to the other section, but we're going to go ahead and locate and mark this piece first. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this very small intrusion in the last section of the clay before it connects to the city. This is literally in the very middle of the street. We've marked it with one little green paint dot denoting that position. So you can see those very small roots right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull back quickly here to this other clay. We know there's no other roots for the rest of these hubs, luckily. Okay, here's the very beginning of this heavy intrusion here. So we've got all these roots right here. They're getting in from that hub, and then as we back up through here, essentially going back about that 4 foot, here's where they start. So we've got possibly a slightly misaligned section here, just a little bit, but just the super heavy roots right here. So we're going to go ahead now and pause and locate this area. Okay, so we've located this heavy root intrusion in the clay pipe right here. This is a few feet in front of the sidewalk area before you get to the street, essentially. And this is 6 feet deep, so it's not really diggable. Again, this would be an area that you would go ahead and clean up and either maintain or have to reline all this piping as well. We're going to go ahead and push back over this again just to get to this next hub. So this is the next hub where they're also getting in from and continuing down for this whole almost 4 foot section. We're going to pause one more time to remark and locate this as well. Okay, so we've gone ahead and marked this on the front. This is just a few feet again in front of this, obviously the other big, huge portion of the intrusion. It's literally right in front of the little mini sidewalk right before you get to the curb. We marked it with some paint as well. Now we're going to go ahead and pull back on the line here, because what we want to do is locate this property line clean out. We didn't notice it in the landscaping bed area there, but if you do want to go ahead and clean this out, that needs to be brought to surface. And if you ever want to, whether maintain or reline it, you need to get into this point here. So we're coming back up this vertical. Here is the relined, there's the clean out access right there. So that is the T-junction right there. It does look like it was coated, so it should be accessible. It does not look like just a turn, but it could be. It's hard to tell with our camera if it opens up all the way. It does kind of look like they lined over. It usually would be an opening for a T, so it's hard to say. So what we're going to go ahead and do is leave our camera right on the edge right here. We're now going to go ahead and pause and locate and mark where this is at. Okay, so we've gone ahead and marked this area, the horizontal pipe, right before it makes the vertical downturn, and it's right about 37 inches deep. We've marked it with a little front marker, and a position is right underneath the landscaping, right by one of the trees. And so basically this area here again would have been the original property line clean out. As we slowly back up, you can see that it curves somewhat. It's larger opening, it's not circular, it's somewhat ovalized. But as we push forward here, and the way the lining process works, I don't think that they shot it from the top end here. It looks like they just shot it from here and they coated over that T. So I could be wrong, but from the way it looks on the cameras, you can see they shot that liner in, and at this T they made the turn and then they just coated it. So it's basically abandoning the clean out that did vertically go up a little bit. So basically now that that's the case, when you dug down to this, you'd have to cut this whole section of pipe out. You couldn't just open the top and then do a new liner from where the clay begins and stuff to continue. You'd have to recoat all of this because you're going to have to cut this piece of pipe out to put in a proper T-junction to access the line. Now, if we used a pan and tilt camera, we'd be able to verify this for sure. But again, just from the angle that we're sitting at here, it really does look like it doesn't go up. You can kind of see that that tape mark continues just across. It goes up slightly because there's an open cavity there, but it's actually not an open T-line. So anyway, we've got all this marked in the front. So that concludes the recording for this property. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and show the above ground markings we made. So we're here inside the garage. There's the bathroom in the corner there through the doorway. So here's the concrete patch you see from the lining company, the process they did. And right there is the path of the pipe. The circle and the X obviously denotes the roots there, 13 inches deep. So that's the mistake that the lining company did at their connection point that needs to be fixed. and or you'll have to maintain it if the roots ever get in bigger by cleaning it out or doing some chemical treatments. So we're now going to move to the very front of the house outside by the street to show those markings. Okay, so here coming down the driveway on the right-hand side, this little tree, and you can see our little white stake in the ground, the green paint on the base. It says PLCO, property line cleanout. It's lined at 37 inches deep. So that's the area right here in this bed, landscaping bed, that would have to be dug up if you wanted to go ahead and expose this property line clean out to make it cheaper, easier, and faster to be able to clean and maintain these roots that are farther out, and or even do the relining process to actually completely fix the problem. So we'll pause real quick and move over to closer to the street edge, show the roots. Okay, so right here as you come down and right in front of this, again, mini sidewalk for the street. So here's our stake right here, and there must have been another camera inspection company out. You can see there's a bunch of mark right here. They just marked it on the bark for some reason, which is completely illegible. But anyway, this is the actual position of the sewer pipe and where the roots are at. Again, it's 6 feet deep. That's where it starts, and then it runs for a few feet over, and there's the little green paint dot right before you get to the sidewalk. So that's the end of that two-hub connection point for the clay where all the roots are, so completely in between there. So that's what's going to need to be maintained, cleaned right now. It's heavy enough it needs to be cleaned right now, and then maintained or relined to solve the problem. And then out into the middle of the street, essentially as you're looking from where we're at here, the vehicle that's across the street parked in the street with the address there, heading right towards the address, just a little bit to the right of that in the middle of the street is that last little root intrusion there. So those are all the markings. Will need to be cleaned up and maintained or relined. So that concludes now the recording for this property.